Hi, students. I hope you're having a great day so far. Today, we're going to be learning about author's purpose. Now, our story of the week is Arrow and Officer Mike. And sometimes, or actually all the time, when an author writes a story, they have a purpose of wanting to do that. So they're either writing the story to persuade somebody, to inform, or to entertain their readers. So, all of the time, whenever an author is writing a story, they're doing one of those three things um, for readers. So, we're going to learn about those today. Now, as you can see, I have this pie here. So it says author's purpose, it's as easy as pie. And it's true. And it's just kind of a fun way to help you remember the author's purpose types. So as we can see here, persuade, it says to convince readers to think, act, or believe a certain way. So when you are persuading somebody of something, you're wanting to make them think the same way as you. So if I was going to tell you an example, maybe I've used this example with my class before. So if you're in my class, you probably remember this example. But let's say that you are trying to convince your parents to eat at a certain restaurant for dinner, and your sibling is trying to convince your parents to eat at a different restaurant for dinner. So, what you have to do is come up with really good reasons to persuade your parent to want to eat at that place. So, you have to give really good reasons to get your parents to agree with you. Same thing goes for when you are reading stories sometimes. Different kinds of texts or books can persuade us to believe a certain way. So there are some books that might persuade you to recycle because it's good for the planet, and that author might give you multiple reasons of why that's a good thing to do. So persuading is the first author's purpose that we're learning about today. The second one is inform. So it says, inform explains real events, tells you how to do something, or helps you learn about a certain topic. So what it is doing is teaching you something. So, like our story of the week, Arrow and Officer Mike, is teaching us about canine dogs. They're teaching us about police dogs. So that story was written to inform our reader, or the author's readers. So another example of inform is when you might want to research a certain animal. So you might go onto a place like Epic or Raz Kids, and you might search all about giraffes. Let's say you want to learn about giraffes. There will be tons of books that pop up, and the author's purpose for those books is to inform you and to teach you facts about giraffes. The last one is entertain. So entertain, if the author writes a story to entertain, they are telling a story. It might make you laugh, it might make you feel happy, feel sad, smile, or it could make you scared if it's a scary story. So this is the most common kind. And when we think of a book, this is the most common kind of author's purpose that we will find, because when you're reading a book, you most likely want to read something that will make you feel a certain way in your heart. So these are books like Magic Tree House books, Junie B. Jones books, Because of Winn-Dixie is a book that we started reading in our class beginning of the year, which we need to finish, by the way. And it also has to do with certain movies. So like Disney movies, superhero movies, all of those movies were filmed to entertain you. And the same thing goes for stories, like books. So different books can also tell a story and entertain you. And they don't always make you feel happy, but sometimes they can make you feel sad as well. So I'm sure some of you have read a sad book, or maybe you have seen a sad movie before. So we're going to go ahead now and look at some examples of different kinds of, or we're going to look at examples that explain the different kinds of author's purpose, and then we're going to decide why it was written. So was it written to persuade readers, to inform readers, or to entertain readers? So before we do that, I have a challenge for you. And since we don't have PE class, I thought it would be great to bring PE class into this video. So what I want you to do before resuming is I want you to do 50 jumping jacks. Yes, 50 jumping jacks. And then I want you to do 10 burpees. I have a lot of students in my class who love burpees, and I'm sure that in Mr. Rakestraw's class and in Mrs. Rutai's class, there are also some students who love burpees. Personally, I don't really like burpees, but they do help you get your heart rate up and get you to feel a little bit more energized and are very good for your body. So again, your challenge is to do 50 jumping jacks, and then I want you to do 10 burpees. So pause this video and then resume it when you are done doing that challenge. Ready, set, go. All right, I bet you are probably pretty tired. All right, so now that you are ready to go and your brain is reset, let's go ahead and look at our first example. All right, so extra recess for kids. That is what this little text is called. Now, a text is just like a short paragraph. It could be a couple pages long, but it's not like a book. It's just like a little short text, little short piece of information or piece of writing. All right, so the title is Extra Recess for Kids. Let's read this. Don't you think kids deserve an extra recess at school each day? Children spend almost 7 hours at school each day learning math, reading, writing, science, and social studies. Now remember, this is without coronavirus, okay? So this is like normal school. They spend so much time working, but get very little time to play outside. I think that students deserve at least 15 minutes of extra recess time because they work so hard in their classrooms. They have to sit in their desks all day long with only a couple of breaks, and they get no time to play games in their classrooms. It is really important for students to exercise and be active so they can grow up to be healthy and strong. They also need time to get their energy out so they can focus in class. I hope you agree. If you don't, I hope you change your mind. Ooh, okay, so think now. Do you think that this was written to persuade readers, to inform readers, or to entertain readers? What do you think? Remember, if we go back to our pie, it says persuade is to convince readers to think a certain way. Inform teaches you something about a certain topic. And entertain tells a story. So what do we think? I'm thinking that this text was written to persuade people to give kids extra recess time. Maybe it was written for principals or for a superintendent of the school district to help students have extra recess time because they work so hard throughout the day. So I'm going to go ahead and circle persuade. That is why this was written. And fun fact is that I actually wrote this. So I was the author of this text here. And I think that kids should get an extra recess too, but it's not always up to teachers. It's more so up to principals and superintendents. So if you really want an extra recess, you should write to persuade those people that have that power to do that. So this text was written to persuade. Let's look at the next one. Okay, it says sponge diving. That is the title. In Tarpon Springs, Florida, there are people who work underwater. These people are called sponge divers. The kind of treasure they look for is called sponges. Sponge diving is not an easy job. The diver has to breathe under the water and be careful of extreme water pressure. Oh, okay. So this was about sponge diving. Now think, why did the author of this text write it? Did they write to persuade, which means to convince you to believe a certain thing, to inform, which means it's teaching you about a topic, or to entertain, which means that it is telling a story and it might make you feel happy inside or sad inside or something like that? Why did this author write this? I'm thinking they wrote it to inform. And the reason I think that is because it teaches us about sponge divers. So it says that there are people that work underwater and they are called sponge divers. And they look for a certain treasure in the ocean called sponges. It tells about their job, that it's not easy, and the diver has to breathe underwater and be very careful of extreme water pressure, which means that if they're not careful, they could get hurt, or they could even die if they don't have the right gear because they're so far underwater. So this text was written to inform. And let's look at the last one, going fishing. It was a glorious morning in Alabama. The sun was shining through the trees. Alan couldn't wait to find his fishing pole and call his friend Sam to go fishing. They had a great time on these early morning fishing trips. They took their dogs with them, and the dogs would swim in the lake while they fished. It was so funny to watch those dogs paddle around the lake. All right, so this was just a short little text about a boy going fishing, or about two boys going fishing, Alan and Sam. So, do we think this was persuading us to feel a certain way or to think a certain way? Do you think it was informing us and teaching us about something? Or do you think it was entertaining us, which means that it makes us feel something? It might make us think of other memories we have. And remember, entertaining is also like a story. So we have fictional characters, and it doesn't have to be a real story. It can be fictional, which means fake. So what do you think? I think that this text was written to entertain readers. And the reason I think that is because it has characters, right? We have Alan and Sam, and they go fishing. And it could be a true story, but it's probably not. It's probably a writer just writing to entertain kids and make them think about a time when they went fishing. So I know in my class, I have lots of students who love fishing. And when those students read this text, it probably reminded them of fishing in their own lives and like of a time they went fishing. So this might make some students smile who love fishing, and it might make them think of some memories they have with fishing, and it might make them feel happy. So that's our clue to help us know that this text was written to entertain. All right, so that is our lesson over author's purpose, and the author always has a purpose: to persuade, inform, or to entertain. Every single thing you will ever read in your life is one of those three things. I would say the most common is entertaining, which is telling a story, and lots of students love reading, myself included, because it kind of lets them escape into a world and kind of forget about your own problems for a little bit. So if you love reading, you probably read a lot of books that entertain you. And so you guys are going to do an activity now on Seesaw. So you'll have to go see what that is. If you want to rewatch this video to help you a little bit, you definitely can do that. But all you have to remember is that it is as easy as PIE. And the PIE will help you remember that it stands for persuade, inform, and entertain. All right, I will see you guys next time, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.